How are the flight logs going, Sarah?
Oh, come on, Pete. Look, as you know, it's all within the rules, and that's been confirmed by the independent authority. But we're here at work to get some good outcomes for the Australian people. Unlike, of course, it seems the chaos in the Liberal Party. How many times do we need to see members of the Libs stand up, speak to journalists, saying everyone's got to stop speaking about the Liberal Party and speak about the people, while speaking about the Liberal Party, not speaking about the community? It is an absolute shambles. And I was just saying to Kevin before we got on air that we face a South Australian state election in 4 weeks' time, and this is not going to go down well.
Just before we move on though, Sarah, I mean, you haven't been on since those reports emerged last year that you racked up 50k and 78 flights for yourself and your husband, who's a lobbyist. Now, you travel a lot, that's understandable. The problem is your husband, who's a lobbyist. So was it appropriate for the taxpayer to be ferrying him around?
Well, look, I know there's been some questions raised about this, and I've had it all checked by the independent authority. I've always used the family reunion entitlement. I did it when I had my daughter flying with me and the carer who would fly with us to do that. There were questions about that. People didn't like me flying my family. Then they don't like family reunion across the board. I get that, and I understand that community expectations on these things are real and that they change. It's all been above board, but let me say, Pete, I've made a decision that going forward, I'm not going to use the entitlement because it's just not worth the stress and the attention that it brings on to families. And I don't begrudge anybody else for using it. That's up to them. That's their personal choice. But going forward, I won't be.
Okay, so I mean, your husband will just have to fly himself. Is that basically what you're saying?
Yeah, look, we split our time between Adelaide and Canberra. That's our life. I've been doing it now for well over a decade. You travel a lot, and I want to be able to keep my family together as much as possible. So we make the arrangements we do to support each other, to keep our family together, whether it's my husband or my daughters, and that's what we do.
Okay, but looking back, final one here, were those rules used in good faith in the past?
Yeah, of course they were. They were always used in good faith, and I don't begrudge anybody for using the family reunion entitlement. It's there for a reason, to try and help families who... This is an unusual job, of course. You are away from home a lot. And it helps to try and keep families together. That's what it's there for. That's why the independent authority has reaffirmed that over the last few weeks. But people have to make their own choice, and I'm making mine.
Right, but did you feel like you were taking the mickey in the past with all those extra family flights?
No, I wasn't taking the mickey, Pete. I was within the appropriate rules as they're designed for, to keep families together and to make sure that you can have some element of family life in this job that is unusual.
Okay, let's get to...
Denied by her that she's been using her family reunion travel entitlement to fly her husband, Ben Oakwist, between Adelaide and Canberra. Now, Ben Oakwist, as you know, is the former Chief of Staff to Greens leader Bob Brown. He's now a lobbyist. He's formerly with the Australia Institute as well. He's a lobbyist. Could it be right that he would be flying back and forth between Canberra on government tax dollars?
It may be the case. She does have the right under the rules to bring her partner to Canberra. So that is under the rules. I don't know how often. I have no idea about the cost involved with this. But if he's a lobbyist, he would take that opportunity. So anyway, Chris, that's not for me to say. That's for investigation to be held into it. But if the rule says she can bring her husband or her partner, then it's in the rules that she can.
But he works in Canberra. He works in Canberra lobbying politicians.
Yeah.
So you're saying if that is within the rules, then that would be okay?
I'm not saying it's okay, Chris. What I'm saying is it is in the rules. So then you change the rules. If this, people are so angry about this and what's going on, and they should be. There's no problem. I've never had my partner, because I'm not married, fly once on this for partners or family to fly. So I've never done it once. So in the 9.5 years that I've been back in Parliament, even prior to that. So, it's apparently another one is over $120,000 for it. So it really comes back to what is right and what is fair and what is just. Now, it doesn't pass the pub test with a lot of people. So therefore, if it doesn't pass the pub test, then it changes, then change the rules.
So you think there should be a complete review of these rules?
Correct.
Yeah. I think a lot of people around the country would agree with you, because some of this stuff we know is within the rules, and even then it looks way over the top. Let's get on to energy and new...
sack her, which seems to be exactly what some of her enemies in the government intended, because there's a lot of people thinking that they believe that some of the leaks, at least, are coming from her own side. Why isn't she?
Oh, well, no, I've got to defend Annika. I mean, Annika is my local member. I'm actually got the benefit of actually seeing her as a really hard-working local, much harder than much harder local worker than her predecessor in Lily. So no, look, I think she's got, no, seriously, Andrew. Wayne Swan, yes. So it wasn't. It was a low bar. It was a low bar, Andrew. But the issue here is it was well known she was at the grand final, well known she was at Boxing Day, as the Minister for Sport. That was her portfolio. She brought her husband and children with her. I think that's a good thing that she's done. But the scandal that's really breaking tonight, Andrew, is the one in the front page of the Australian, which is that Sarah Hanson Young, the great hypocrite from the Greens, her husband is a fully fledged high-flying lobbyist, and she appears to have flown into work in Canberra, where he works as a lobbyist for big companies, and flown him back home again. Now, if he did a single moment of lobbying for clients while the taxpayers funded and facilitated that, then that's a huge, huge scandal. And that could be breaking in today's Australia.
All right, I'll just emphasise the word you used there, if, because we do not know, we make no accusations.
Yes, if.
It's just a
Exactly
question
right.
that should be asked and answered. Yes, well, I'm sure you're wrong in one thing you just said there, Cameron, because I don't think he could have flown because, contrails, global warming. I'm sure she made him ride a donkey all the way to Canberra or something like that. I don't know. Michael, Donald Trump is now really worrying the...
Sarah Hanson Young has billed taxpayers almost $50,000 to fly her husband, lobbyist Ben Oakwist, to and from Canberra. Political reporter Ruben Spargo joins me at the desk. Ruben, the Senator, a no-show this morning on Sky News.
Yeah, Senator Hanson Young was scheduled to appear on First Edition with Pete Stefanovic this morning as part of a weekly panel. She didn't show up. She was a no-show. She pulled out. Sky News has contacted the Senator's office regarding the family reunion allowance. We're yet to hear back. Ben Oakwist, the Senator's husband, is a former Chief of Staff to Greens founder Bob Brown and now works for DPG Advisory Solutions. It's a political lobbying firm whose corporate clients include Ausgrid, Rio Tinto, Spotify, Uber and Wesfarmers. Analysis of parliamentary expenses by The Australian shows Senator Hanson Young has charged taxpayers $49,902 for flights for a family member, mostly between Canberra and Adelaide, on 78 occasions since July 2022. Several people told The Australian they had seen the Senator travelling quite often with Mr Oakwist and not with any children. Mr Oakwist is regularly seen inside Parliament House. The Coalition is now calling on the Senator to provide an explanation.
On the face of it, if those facts cannot be disputed, then there is a problem, and I don't think it is not just a bad look for anyone, including Senator Hanson Young, but anyone who would adopt the view that using reserves in the way that's been reported is okay. That is not what the community want, and despite the vagueness of the rules, I don't think that's what was envisaged.
The revelations raise questions about whether taxpayers should cover travel for private lobbyists. Communications Minister Annika Wells remains under pressure too over some of her taxpayer-funded travel to things like AFL Grand Finals, Thredbo, the Formula One Grand Prix and the Boxing Day Test. The Prime Minister was asked about changing the rules moments ago.
Why won't you tighten the rules on MPs' travel to ensure they better meet community expectations?
Well, we have, of course, IPIA, an Independent Parliamentary Expenses Authority. I think it's important, just like on the REM Tribunal setting our wages, that I don't influence that from the top. And
but the guidelines are in legislation, Prime Minister. You voted for them.
Yeah, we voted for them. That was introduced under the former coalition government that were adopted unanimously.
And it codifies the rules.
That were adopted unanimously in the Parliament. We will always, of course, examine. We're aware that issues are there.
Trudy Annika Wells standing by the Prime Minister there. She has referred her expenses to the Parliamentary Watchdog.